Welcome back to One Hit High Point. This is Kareem
and Travis.
and grab a snack and
Light up and welcome back.
no.
But what was I talking about?
You say nobody?
Oh, how like wonderful life is, just like in like in the small moments, like life is good. Yes, there is bad in the world. Think about that. But just think of the moments that how good life is. And this is like kind of Earth. And then we all know, like, if you believe in like an afterlife, like you ascend to the heavens and all those type of things. But I'm just saying how wonderful heaven is. Like, it's like,
But can
think of our own moments here. That's great. Like, how many, like, they have to be wonderful.
I want to feed on what you just said right there. You said, we all know that when you die, you're going to have. So when you said we all know, so how do people know God? Like, this is the thing. When people say, this is something that I always struggle with. When people say there's no such thing as a God, well, first of all, you would have to be all knowing and be God like yourself to know there's no such thing as a God, because that would mean that you'd have to be all knowing, right? That there's an absolute, that there's no way, there's no absolute way this can happen.
So there's,
But if people do see God, and enough people have continued to see God, and they felt this human experience really come to fruition that feels beyond spiritual, but something like divine, right? Why is that? Even if it's interpreted a million ways, that's how all these religions start. But do you notice how they always believe in a God, like some type of higher power?
yeah, and I guess it's, you know,
Why?
there's, we always, I think, forget about that. You know, there's an atheist and then there's agnostic, you know, where one worth of,
I think it's the most
you know,
valid.
it's
It's just as valid as having a religion, because being
it's
agnostic is just as understandable. Because
but it's almost like a cop out.
yeah, being agnostic.
Yeah, because you're not really committing to one way or the other. That you really, you're just kind of like saying, you know what, I believe in something, but I don't know what it is. Is that just you just not making a choice?
I think it's because someone's figuring it out. I think that's the beauty in your human experience, right? Is that you're figuring it out. That's the beauty in your individualism. You're figuring it out. But that can all be woven into the overall idea that we all have this journey to find God and whatever it is in the signs that was meant for us, or what, however we're meant to understand it or comprehend what it is to be alive, what it is to even exist. Those things can only be done as an individual in the most genuine sense. The moment that is fucked with is the moment that you are not living you are living in someone's version of you. And that is what's scary about radical religious movements, because it's basically hijacking something and using your ego to fuel the entirety of your speech and the entirety of what you're preaching, and it does not represent said teachings. And this is the reason why we always have to stay true to being a good person overall, and what teachings that we can find within all religions. What are the beautiful things that we can ask ourselves as human beings? What are the things that make us feel whole, the things that we've recorded and practiced?
But I think a key piece of religion is accountability. It's accountability, like with each other, and in keeping the everyone in checks and balances, you know. So it's kind of like the, you know, like I remember like growing up, you know, going through church, you had accountability partners, this kind of, you know, and you kind of, if like I fucked up or I screwed up or whatever, I, like, the first person I told is say, hey Kareem, like, you know, this is, you know, what happened. And then, you know, you and I discuss it, and you know that you kind of pray towards it on, you know, that type of thing. And I think that's the kind of where what we've lost is that we've lost the accountability within the system of everything, because everyone has hijacked their own opinions or their own personal gains.
Let's pull it back. I was trying to keep it in a place where we're talking about how God started. We're talking about how God started here. I want,
but you started moving into the religious hijacking and those type of things. So
I want to talk back. I want to keep it so far back, and this dog, like back in the dogmatic days or whatever they call it, primitive days, whatever. I want people to see. I know, right? Rough. I want people to see back then how, even when there was no set, like real set religions, right, that like conquered the world, like there was no mass religions that conquered the world, even when it was at the most simplest of times, why did all of you recorded humanity, anything that's ever recorded humanity, always show that there's always been connectiveness. There's always been groupings of people that work together to exist, to, you know, progress? Why do we always constantly see this beautiful coming together of people to live amongst a society that operates so
I
they can
think
exist?
that's our animalistic behavior.
But how can that exist? And then when there's such darkness that comes from it, the idea to use some type of teaching, some type of understanding that someone has maybe experience that's elevated their human experience, that they therefore wanted to record and say, I don't know if it's a vision of God or an angel or whatever it is, I don't know, like there's no titles on it yet, but however they defined it back then, I saw a light, I saw an energy, that there's something bigger than this, than this just average life of, you know, despair and darkness and killing. Even though we're functioning now, there's darkness that's forming. There's something bigger than this. Where do these visions come from? That
It's
that makes people wanna share
I
it?
think it's the experiences is what you're talking about. On like if you know you're outside and you see something and you see like visions or you know or just the unexplainable.
But why would we feel that? Why would we feel empathy suddenly? Why would we feel love suddenly? Why would we feel connection suddenly? Where do those things just come from? If we're meant to just be a species that is meant to just function and do its function of eating, killing, protecting, whatever you want to do, if our basic functions are so simple as all other animals essentially are, why do we have the ability to cognitively think away from all that primitiveness and then still be spiritual, emotional, loving, human, alive, like different, like not animals, like not animalistic? Yes, we are of animals.
I think
but,
some
like,
of it is also
or I don't
we've yet to
know. I
find
don't even
another
know what to
species.
think, actually.
We've
Are we
actually
of animals or are we not animals? I really don't know.
scientifically, yes, we are.
But it's like, I feel like,
You know, you're in the category of mammals, and then you know,
so
like
are we the species that finds God? Did dinosaurs find God? Did dinosaurs know God? Did dinosaurs know of a divine being and they were able to communicate with a God? Because at some point, like if we don't been on Earth for however thousands of years, millions of years, whatever, and we've been on Earth, how we're able to speak like this now? Are we developing to be more godlike? Is this, we're still in the rough draft phases of humanity and we're still trying to reach God? We're still getting and collectively growing better as a society. And every now and then there's just ugly, nasty sides of humanity, but we're still getting better. And the forces of evil are just trying to stop us because we're moving at an exponential rate of actually doing better as a world.
well, I mean, I think in some
Like, is that our evolution?
I've read
Who
some
knows?
scientific type papers that you know
Thoughts?
talk more on like how like the animal kingdoms evolved over time.
Right.
We've adapted, and is that what mankind's doing right now? But we're just in the fraction of time that's occurred within, say, millions of
But
years.
we evolved to find
But
God.
like yes, like our like each evolution that's occurred like through the animal tree, you know how everything's connected and how this is related to this and that's how this happened. Like, are we just a little dot? And are we this like continuing to evolve and become closer to the superior or the ultimate species type thing where that becomes God? You know, if that makes sense. Like we're evolving to always become better and to gain that what you're saying of
But
like
is to become or is the world now forgetting and thinking that to become better is to become powerful, or to become better is to become one? Because this is what I
but I
want
think
people
that's
to
the piece
understand.
that's the trade-off is I think that is when God created the world, he gave man consciousness, and consciousness is actually what the downfall of everything that brought the evil. Because we have the
Because I
free
feel
thought.
like the whole point
Because
of humanity's evolution, and our evolution is scientific, right? But what if our evolution is actually
but I think
like
but
biblical? Maybe
but
it
this is I
biblical.
think something maybe what you and I should
So I'm
do.
getting so passionate on this.
I think
because
you and
it's like,
I, what we need to do is homework
I'm very
is
passionate.
look at more from a Bible standpoint, because I'm pretty sure that there's something in there that talks about like the consciousness of man and why we have it versus other animals in that connection
No,
and that
and
soul
that's
piece.
beautiful, but I'm trying to like almost not talk about it from just like a biblical sense too, though. I'm also trying to talk about it as like, just let's have a conversation about like literally what it sounds like, right? What it sounds like, and then dissect why does it sound that way? Why is this a normal way of thinking about it? How is my brain even able to compute this? Because like it's wild to think humans evolved to find God in a way, right? Because if we have all are constantly evolving as a species, we in a way continue to find God or to find this light or energy of divinity or whatever. Like it's crazy to me to think that we can define that spiritual development and call it evolution. But in a way, it's also beautiful because it's also interconnected. Science is still an interpretation of God in a way. Science is still
Science it is explaining it, sorry, my goodness. Science is explaining the unexplainable. But what? So like, there's two sides. Like,
it's trying. Keyword
it's trying.
Trying.
Because some
Not
of it
always
can
succeeding.
be some of it can be factual, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's factual pieces proving the unexplainable. And I think that's a part of mankind's. Our brains are logical and scientific and things like that to figure out how to connect the unexplainable objects. I think that's our purpose.
But it's still, in a way, the idea that humans are trying to figure out the truth and find the truth. Why? Why are we trying to find the truth? Why are humans trying to discover through science the truth of what the fuck is out there, what it means to exist? Because you know what? This is what I'm telling you. There is a search for the truth. There is a search for the truth, that humans have an unrelentless freaking motive to just figure out what the fuck
I think that what that
exists.
is that we're trying to ascend to something better.
Yes. No,
Because
like,
and then we need to. So our goal is, how do we become better, and how do we find that connection and secure our spot to ascend to a higher place?
Some people commit evil to figure out that truth and find that truth because of the
Because
greater good.
everyone's
Or some
on their own
people-
path.
Or some people find it within their souls, within their existence themselves. Some people find God because this is what I'm saying. Scientists are finding God. They're figuring out God because the science is the science of finding God. That's what I believe in. And I think that some people who find God spiritually,
Because once you
wholesomely,
find God, it's the explainable.
it's the unexplainable.
So science is proving the unexplainable to find the explainable.
But under the title science, but it's still technically you're trying to figure out what it all means, right? And I think that some people have that same science within them, but it's actually their version of finding God. I think some people go through life and they have crazy experiences that they can't explain and no one will ever understand, that they actually saw a sign of God or a vision of God or an angel. And that to me is so wild, because that's what I believe. So many people on this earth who started religions or beliefs of any of these types of conversations that we're having here shows that people collectively throughout the world have just been finding the eureka moment of God, and finally their existence makes sense, and they saw everything. They saw a vision of heaven and the kingdom of God. And this is why I believe that there is so much beauty to be shared amongst all people of faith, all people that exist, that want to exist with trying to find that same truth and harmony. That's the beauty. And then there's some that want that truth for themselves. There's a difference. They want the truth for themselves because they want the power, and they want to exist solely to be the most powerful. And that we have to ask ourselves, why? Where did that come from? Now, that's another conversation for another day. But I just felt like this was a conversation. I was feeling so heavily, as potential and continual genocide happens live. But
Yeah, I'm just in a deep, complex thoughts over here in my little.
damn, my bubbly ran out, my throat's dried.
And on that note,
Take a hit, stay open-minded.
and stay cloudy.
Stay cloudy. No, don't stay cloudy. Please see crystal clear and think crystal clear. Thanks.
Night.